Hello, this is part two in our tutorial, Polygon modeling, building this hammer. So what I created in the first video was this handle. What I want to do now, I want to create the hammer head, the pounding part. So I'm going to switch to my channel box layer editor for this shape that I have right here. I'm going to go ahead. I already have image planes, which are or a layer, sorry, that contains my image planes. And I want to create a new one with my model selected. I'm going to go ahead and click on this button down here under the layers view. And this is going to create and assign a layer. So now I'm going to double click on here because I want to label it. I'm going to just call this my handle and tell it save. So now what I can do if I click on the V, now it's an easy way to hide this. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the V. Now, the reason I'm going to hide it is because I will be making use of the top view as well. And if I have this model here, though I have the X-ray turned on, it's still going to be visible. So I just want to be able to temporarily hide it. So now I'm going to go back into my side view here. What I want to do is I want to build this hammerhead. And what I want to do is just looking at this shape, it's round, so I'm going to be able to use another cylinder. But when I go to this part right here, this area, I'm going to be using a box or a cube, and then I'm going to connect them together. So I'll show you how to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and, okay, here we are. It was giving me a weird error, little glitch in that system. So I am initially going to create the shape from my front view, but then I'm going to switch to my side view. One thing to note is that for this hammerhead, this right here isn't necessarily completely straight, and I'm okay with that. So I might have to make my own adjustments. So let's go ahead and go to create. I'm going to go to Polygon primitives. I'm going to go into the cylinder option box. I'm just going to reset these settings because what I want for the axis, I want the axis to be along Z. Divisions, I already know that I want 8 because this is going to be round and I want the same roundness. For example, what I have on the handle, that worked. And for the other information, I don't know. So I'm just going to go ahead and tell it to create. So I have this shape right here. So it should already be, I could see from my views that it's already X-ray view. So within my front view, I'm going to go ahead and rise this up. And let's focus on the front view here. I'm going to switch to my scale tool and I'm going to just scale this so that it's kind of in that shape that I want. So let's go ahead and switch now to the side view. And you can see that it's not in that position. So remember, I want to use, I initially used my front view to get the shape. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to now move this accordingly. So it is a little bit at an angle. Now, again, notice how the shapes, unfortunately, my image planes don't line up, even though this is the shape. When I compare it to my side and top view, it's a little bit larger. So I'm going to go ahead and scale this just a bit more down within my top view. And now when I look at this, it's like within my side view, it's kind of the shape that I want. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to kind of center this right here. And I said earlier, I'm not going to worry about that it's not perfectly straight. My model that I end up creating is going to be a little bit straighter than this image right here. But like I said, this is a reference image. So I'm going to go ahead and move this right here. All right, so I'll go with this. You know, it's kind of going down, so maybe I might, let's see. I just want to see the shape of this. If I was to scale this up just a smidget. See, this is a little bit too high, but now I could, because what I want to do, I want the top of this part and the top of the hammerhead to be parallel. So I'm gonna do this. Great. So now what I want to do is let's go into our perspective view, and I'm going to switch to my selection view. I want to select the faces, and I'm going to use my paint selection tool again. With the paint selection tool, this little red circle, if you press and hold down B, drag it to the right, makes it larger, drag it towards the left, makes it smaller. So I just have these faces selected, and I'm going to go back to my modeling toolkit up here in the top right-hand corner. And I already have up here, my faces are already selected. I'm going to extrude, and I'm just going to extrude this just a bit. It's going to come out. And then I'm going to click on one of these boxes right here to get the scale tool. And I'm just going to, that's it. I'm just going to kind of give it a little bit of roundness. So I'm going to switch to my selection tool and click anywhere in the background just to deselect it. And what I want to do, I'm going to make a series of extrusions and also create this roundness. I'm going to stop before I get to this point right here. And I'll use a combination of my top view and also my side view. So let's go ahead and select these faces now. And I want to make sure that only these faces are selected. Great. I'm still in my modeling toolkit here. I'm going to tell it to extrude. Now, if I want to, right here where it says divisions, I could give it multiple divisions. So say, for example, what if I know that I want a total of, let's see, 4 divisions. And now when I go out, I forgot to press return. So now I have 4 divisions that I have right here. Actually, I'm going to tell it 3. I can still update it. But now that I have these divisions, I can't manipulate each division separately. No worries. Now that I have these, I could switch to my selection tool. I'm going to right mouse click, select the vertices, and I'm going to do these a row at a time. You can see that it's selecting the entire row there, and I'm going to switch to my scale tool. And what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and scale this in. And I'm scaling X, Y, and Z. You can see how it's going down. I'm going to select, not that. I want to select the next row of vertices here, use my scale tool, and I could use the top. I'll use the top view. I'm going right here. And then I want to select this last row, and I'm also going to scale these in. So I'm going to stop right there on this area, because what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to want this to connect to the rest of which I have yet to create, this shape right here. So in order to do that, let me go ahead and switch. I'm going to create a cube, a polygon cube, that's going to have a certain amount of sides, a certain amount of information. So let's go ahead and go to create polygon primitive cube option box. I want to make sure that it is reset. Let's see, create, so we can look at it. Let's go into our side view. Let's go ahead and move this cube up. And what I want to do is for this cube, I could look at it within my perspective view and along my top and front. So what I want to do with this one, let's go into the channel box. I'm going to go ahead and, you know what, I could make some adjustments right now. Let's go ahead and go into, well, still object mode, scale. I'm going to make this a little bit thinner just so you can kind of see where I want to place this. Let's go ahead and go in a bit here. So it's kind of be right here. Let's go ahead and scale this from the top view now, so that we get an idea of how thin it's going to be. So what I want to do, I want to connect it to this side. So this one has 8 sides. This one only has 4. So I need to make some divisions. So I'm going to go into my inputs right now. I haven't really manipulated. So along with, this is along width, height, depth, X, Y, Z. So within width, I want it to be divided down the center right here. So along height, I don't think I want any divisions. No, no, not yet, not yet. Along depth, let's see, I definitely want 1 right here. So it's gonna be divided right down the center. Because what I'm going to do is, if I count right here, I only have 1, 2, 3 sides, but we are going to be adding a couple of more sides in a moment. So what I'm going to do is, let's see, I'm going to leave this right here, and I'm going to go ahead and select the faces. I want to select, go to my paint selection. I want to select these faces right here because I'm going to extrude them. Extrude. So let's go back to the modeling toolkit. I'm going to go extrude, and I'm going to go ahead and extrude. Now, you know, I'll just go to right here and I'll show you different tools and how we could create some more divisions as well. And I'm going to go ahead and press return. Oh, not return, sorry. I would just switch to my tool. So I have this right here. And what I'm going to need to do, I'm going to create another extrusion right here because I need some more divisions. Right here, I need another face for this portion of the hammerhead right here. So I'm going to select these two, and let's go ahead and extrude these out. So this shape right here. And just so we could see what this looks like, on a right mouse click, vertices. Now I'm going to adjust the placement of some of these vertices. Because right now this is very square-like and not necessarily the shape that I want. So I'm going to select these right here. Let's focus on the side view here. I'm going to go ahead and maybe place these right here. This one right here, I'm going to maybe place up here. You can see how I'm now moving these to create more of the contour of the shape of this hammer. So I have something right there. And though these pieces right here, I was like, what about these other shapes? Right now, this is just the side that we have. So now what I'm going to do, notice that there's a couple more divisions right here that we have. And in fact, I'm gonna open up, I'm gonna delete these faces right here, just so you can see what I'm going to do. They're still selected right here. I'm gonna select this one. I'm going to select and just press delete or backspace. And on these faces right here, they're already selected. I'm going to delete them as well. Now I can't connect them because I don't have enough edges. On this one I have only 3 edges. I need, well, 3, actually it's 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I need 2 more. And so what I'm going to do, right here, I'm going to add another division along this shape here that is going to give me the additional divisions that I need. So to do this, let's see, how did I do this? I'm going to select all of these shapes. And I believe if I do this, with these selected, I'm going to extrude these inward a bit. And this gives me this additional division right here that I need, but I also have these faces that I don't need. So I'm going to select both of these faces and delete them. And now what I have the information that I need, but I need to clean this up right here. So for example, this point and this point, I'm holding down shift to select them. And this point, I'm going to move out. They'll probably go somewhere. These look fine. This one doesn't. This point right here, I want to flatten out. I'll straighten all of these in a moment. These that are along that edge. Now you can see for these shapes right here, I've now was able to create this additional shape. But what I want to do within, maybe I can use a little bit of my front view. I'm going to scale these points in so that they get a little bit more rounded shape. And this point and this point, I'm also going to scale in so that I get it slightly rounded. So now this point over here, let's see, both of these points, I can move about. So you can see how I now have, it's down here at the bottom, it's a little bit round. Let's say I'm going to select these 2 points. I need to scale in so that it gives me a slight round area. So I have this point right here. Let's see, I could select this point. I'm going to move it forward, this point. And you can see what I'm doing now. I'm trying to create this opening here so that when I select both of these shapes, we could start to see where they're going to start to connect the corresponding sides. But right now we can't just connect them because I need to do a couple of other things to set them up. But let's see, let's go back to the top view because I still want to reshape this. Let's go back to vertices. I'm going to select these 2. I'm not selecting both of them so that I'm able to work symmetrically. Uh, there are other methods where you could work on one side and then mirror it. That works really well. But this shape is so symmetrical that I don't necessarily need to mirror it. All right, that's looking good. It has a slight bulge, so maybe this bulge, let's see, it's those points right there. If I do a marquee selection and select everything within there, I should have mentioned this earlier. It allows me to select everything within that selection. So say, for example, if I go right here, if I want these 3 points to be selected, I do marquee selection. Anything within there will be selected. Now you got to be careful because if I do something like this, uh, these 5 were selected, but anything on the other side will also be selected. All right, so now they have these shapes here. I'm gonna go to object mode. I'm gonna select both of these shapes. In order to connect them, to bridge them, they have to, they have to be selected in the modeling menu set under mesh. I'm gonna tell it to combine. This doesn't necessarily create them so that they are physically combined, but node-wise, they are now combined. Now that they are treated as one selection, for example, when I deselect and click on it, both of these are selected. What I'm able to do, since I have the same amount of openings or edges, what I could do here, I could select the bridge option under components, and just like that, it connects them. Now, again, this worked because I had my options set up, so, or not options, I had it set up so that there's equal number of sides that need to be connected. So now that I have this, let's go back to my side view and let's clean this up. Let's clean this up. So when I start to look at some of these, let's go into vertices. So say, for example, this is going down the center. So I might want to maybe just slightly make adjustment to this point right here so that it follows that contour. I can see right here that these contours need to be adjusted just a little bit better. Select this one right here. All right, that looks good. And remember, I've decided to kind of fix my own hammerhead so that I get something that looks like this. It's looking great. I mentioned that I want to flatten all of these vertices right here. I'm going to select all these vertices. And if I double click my move tool under the move snap settings, I want to make sure that retain component spacing is turned off. Because now what I could do, if I press and hold down X, snap to grids temporarily. Let's see, it's not, let's see, I'm gonna have to reset this tool. Okay, let's try it again. There it is. You see now they all are flat. So when I move this up right here, we got this. But if you notice right here, I need some divisions because there's not enough information here. And let's go close this window. I'm gonna select this point right here. I'm gonna move this out. I need some divisions along this side here. I'm going to go into mesh tools and I'm going to use the insert edge loop. This is a really good tool because what I'm able to do, if I click right here, you can see that it's already, this one, it goes all the way around. So I'm going to add one. I'm going to probably add 2 just because I want a little bit of more definition. But now what I need to do, I'm going to switch to my selection tool, go to vertices, and I'm going to select these, switch to my move, and I'm going to place them in that location. And let's see, this one should be curved a little bit more. So let's bring this one up a bit. So now you can see the kind of curve shape that I have. Always look at your perspective view so you can make sure that it looks good. I'm going to temporarily save this, Command or Control S. So we get something so far that looks like this. It's looking good. And I have some divisions along the backside as well. So I could fix these as well. So these are actually look pretty good, pretty decent. Let's see, for this one, I'm going to go ahead and just move this down a bit. So now what I want to do, I want to start to create the claw that's coming out. So to do that, I'm going to use my extrude tool. Let's go back to the modeling toolkit. I'm going to click on faces. Another way of being able to select them. I'm going to select both of these. And I know that I want to extrude these out. So I'm just going to extrude one. Right now, I want faces to be kept together. I don't want that, that thickness. I wanted to extrude this one out. I'm going to click on the circle because I want to rotate it, move it, then scale it. Now you can see with my scale, right now it's set to world, but let's see. Oh, you know what? Let's go back to my, here it is. There it is. I want to stay in this tool, the show manipulator tool. So I want to get that shape. Now I also want to make sure that within my top view, it might be a little confusing, but you notice how on the bottom it gets a little bit thicker. So this one is that bottom edge, and this one is the top edge. So I'm gonna just scale one of these out, but what I want to do is I'm gonna switch to my vertices. For these, I'm gonna scale them in a bit because I don't want them to get too thick as it goes out, but notice how at a certain point they kind of flatten out. Okay, I'm gonna go back to my faces. They're still selected. Excellent. And I'm gonna go ahead and extrude again. I'm gonna pull them out a certain distance, move them down, slightly rotate them, scale them until I create that shape. I can see right here that uh, probably the next one I'm going to start to create the claw. Though I'm trying to stay with this one. I'm not using this as an exact reference because you know when I took the images, they kind of got a little bit the perspective isn't entirely correct. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go back to the faces. They're still selected. I'm going to tell it to extrude, but this time I'm going to tell it to off. So when I extrude, and let's see, let's go ahead and rotate this. Let me go ahead and move this down and scale. Check this out. And now when let's see, not this one, let's scale. Now they're completely separate, but they move together. So now what I need to do, I'm going to switch to my move tool. I'm going to double click my new move tool. There is a symmetry select. So I'm going to go ahead and tell it to symmetry along object X. So now I'm going to close this. If I move one to one side, it's only moving the other side goes in symmetry. There's like a mirror functionality. So this is going to be really helpful. So again, I'm trying to get the this shape right here. This one goes a little bit too far, too out. It's just this one right here. I'm going to scale this one in. So right here, so we could see the shape that we're getting. It's looking good. I'm going to go back to faces. I'm going to go ahead and extrude. Now, because I have symmetry turned on, look what happens though. I don't get my entire show manipulator unless I switch to it, but that's okay. I can still use the combination of my regular tools. I'm going to switch to my move tool. So I could do this. I'm going to switch to my rotate. I'm going to switch to my scale. Now right here, scale, I want to change this. So I'm going to go back to my options for scale. Instead of object, I'm going to tell this one to be component. So now what I get, I'm going to close this window. I'm able to change just that direction. And let's see, let's go back to move. I'm going to put this in slightly into position. And again, even though it's selected over here on the left side, I'm focusing on my right side. So it's right here. Vertices, I want to move these in a bit. I'm going to scale them in. Let's say I need to go back to my tool. It's set to component. I'm going to tell it object. There we go. Just a bit, because I want to get that shape right there. Let's go back to the faces. Let's see, I could probably just do one more. So extrude. It comes out, switch to my move tool. I'm going to switch to my rotate tool because I want this to be this shape right here. Go down a bit. Then I want my component option so that I could move that in. Great. Let's go ahead and just change this back to object. I'm going to move this one out. So goes right there. So selecting these vertices, just kind of scaling these in just a bit. So I get something that looks like this. I'm going to go to the object mode. So you can see what I have. I'm going to go ahead and just save this, Command or Control S. Now, I did model this symmetrically. One of the options is that you just model half of it, and then you're able to mirror it. I'll do that in the next video, just so I could keep these videos a little bit shorter. I'm going to bring back the handle. And right now, this model, it's a low poly model, but there's a couple of things that we could do to make it a little bit smoother. So we'll cover those options in the next video. So if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you in that next video. Okay, bye.